What are the colours of that third kit of yours? Green, I think, right? Green.
Yeah, green. It's all a coincidence.
Green
Wasn't
and
it?
coincidence. I think it's a bit green and white, if I'm not wrong. Is it green and white?
Yes, green and white.
Is there any national teams that have those colours? Green and
Plenty.
white. Maybe you're paying homage to Norwich.
Ireland, the Irish national team.
Ireland.
There we go. There we go.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, author and Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And me, Yahoo editor Chia Keong, and him, a Newcastle fan in Singapore. Introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Terence Ong and I'm with the official Newcastle United supporters club here in Singapore.
Fantastic. We tried to get him an oil barrel to sit on, but we had to settle for a chair.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Comfortable chair.
I'm getting him in early.
No, it's all right.
This is the way it's going to go from this point on.
I would have crushed the oil barrel sitting on it anyway.
Yes. Yeah, well, I'll leave that with you. But I would like to come back to you and thank you as always for your wonderful comments. Every week we're getting more and more. Facebook,
Fantastic.
Twitter, Instagram,
TikTok.
TikTok, YouTube. Thanks very much for that. Do keep them coming to all the usual places. Lots of comments coming in. What have we got this week, Keong?
Well, we have finally seen the longest comment ever sent to us.
Longer than some of our columns.
Yeah.
Longer than some of our columns.
Yeah, 269 words, 8 paragraphs. It's as long as some of our news reports.
Yeah. Especially his.
Especially, yeah. So lazy when I'm lazy. So this one comes from Wen Long. I think they got a super up here. So this comes from Wen Long 82. I'm not gonna say that. Not gonna say out the whole thing. But this is the one thing he talks about. We're talking about the Singapore's young lions, and then so this is why he say, well, to get the big margin thrashing week in, week out and expect to confront regional neighbours like Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, and even Thailand with panache, don't think this is going to happen in my lifetime. What about the senior team's coaching setup? What's our obsession with appointing unknown Japanese coaches? Well, there's a lot of things going on here, but obviously the young lions part, I think I have to agree with him. Because if you keep losing so heavily week in, week out, and then if you go to a competition where you are the obvious favourites, then maybe that might work. Because after all the defeats, you learn something, and then you can, against weaker opponents, you probably can do it. But against people like Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam, who are miles better than us, and then I don't know whether they get that psychological thing to push them to a victory or not.
Well, I mean, Terence, when I started covering local football back in 1874, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was kind of a given that you would beat your Laos and the Cambodias and those kind of guys, and Malaysia would go either way. Indonesia, 2 out of every 3, and then Thailand was the one. Thailand was always the one. Now we've reached the stage, Terence, where it's up for grabs every single game. You used to cover it, and I used to cover local football as well. What is your take on where we are today with the young lions, with the local football scene?
I think the state of football in Singapore here is quite bad, if you ask me, as an observer looking from the outside in. I do feel that the Young Lions project, like what Keong had mentioned earlier, has probably run its course. I do believe that clubs should be given the onus to develop young players for the benefit of the team, which will subsequently snowball into better players for the national team. Right now, I do agree with Keong that the psychological effect of losing almost every week, it does take its toll. And you look at the recent results from the Singapore Under-17 team, if I don't remember wrongly, they, at youth tournaments, they can't even beat, like you mentioned, Cambodia. They have trouble, I think, beating Laos as well, or something like that. So it shows, and I think we need to stem this rod somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know the cliche holds that you learn more from defeat than victory, but how much can you learn if you're losing every single week before it becomes demoralising?
Badly,
right? I mean, any sort of productive elements, it's going to become counterproductive.
Although I want to say, they just drew 1-1 with Lion City Sailors in the Singapore Cup.
There you go.
So there's a silver lining.
Albeit from somewhat of a freakish own goal.
But
Doesn't
still,
matter. We'll take it. On this show, we'll take it. It's turned. It's all turned around.
It's turning out. It's turning
The
around.
young lions are back. We're going to qualify for the World Cup in 2034. Is it 2034?
Yeah.
Unleash the roar. It all starts here. Now,
Shameless plug.
shameless plug. Now, are we unleashing the roar, the meow, the squeak, or whatever? The reason I say that is we got a great comment from Kenneth J. Victor. Thank you. Almost as long as Wen Long's comment. He says, another thing about local football is, and this is a great point, FAS, what is your long-term strategy? Got an Australian technical director, a Japanese national coach, and a local under-21 coach. Does it really take a rocket scientist to figure this is a national disaster? Now, hang on, national disasters is usually earthquakes,
Yeah,
tsunamis.
It's a bit too much. It's a
I
bit
don't
too
think the
far.
under-18s losing a game to Southeast Asian Meadows is quite in the hurricane, level of disaster. But I take the point. For the longest time, 20 years, we went for the Dutch model for a while with Jan Poulsen. He brought in, I think, a guy called Flemming Nielsen, and they tried to bring in the Dutch style of football. Then we had Sablon, who was here for like 15 minutes, and he was going to bring in the Belgian model, the fast, counter-attacking 4-3-3 kind of model. What happened to that? Now we've gone towards Japanese / Australian / local. If you don't have a fixed identity, a fixed purpose, a fixed framework, it is hard, guys, isn't it, to work out where are we going here? What is the template? Do we even have one?
Well, they Unleash the Raw project say you want to play fast attacking football like the Spain. So we got another.
As opposed to what? The slow defensive football that nobody wants. I mean, that's not rocket science.
Everybody
either,
wants
is it?
to. No, but here's the point. I mean, it's not taboo to play negative football, provided you know how to play it, like the Italy and
Greece won the Euros with it
Yeah,
in 2004.
it might be worthwhile if let's say that's the because if you want to play attacking football, your players must be smart to pass the ball into space, and they must be fast enough. So fitness is an issue. And if the current national team setup, you don't have the players to do it, the best thing you can do is to defend. So okay, fair enough. If you are the technical director or the coach, obviously you want to go for. If you want to go for wins, you got to play defensive. I don't think nationality should matter as much as getting everybody on the same page. And
Correct.
play
I
the
don't
game.
care about the nationality. I don't care where anybody's from. As long as there's a clear, cohesive plan that everyone from the grassroots upwards to the top of the pyramid is working towards. What do you reckon?
I feel it's a strange situation that Singapore is in. We want to try and implement a certain style or certain direction to grow the state of sport here, but at the same time, the people on the ground are concerned the most about results. Anytime something goes bad, the plans get ripped up and we go back to the drawing board again. We got to stick to a plan, and I think we got to all work together. When the likes of Sablon and Palasides came in, did they have enough support from the relevant authorities or the relevant governing bodies to make a change? Everybody's got to work together.
I think that's a great point, Terence. It must be all that oil money going to his head. He's made a good point now, the oligarch over here.
Why we get him on, man.
He's doing a good.
We should pump some of the money back.
Yeah. Well, no, I have to concur completely with our oligarch here on the desk, and this is such a good point you make, because it's that idealism versus Chiasuism ongoing battle again, isn't it? Because whether it's Jan Poulsen, he said we're going to follow this Dutch model, but it's going to take time, and it may get worse before it gets better. Sablon came in and said exactly the same thing. I can't do this overnight. The Belgium thing took a generation. You've got to give me time. Within 5 minutes, maybe we're slightly to blame in the media. Oh, but you're still getting whacked by this team, that team, whatever. And now it's kind of happening again. Unleash the Raw is 2034. But it's already going to start happening now, right? You're getting a few results against the Minnows. Oh, this is not working.
Just wait for the AFF Cup to come. And if we lose to Myanmar in the first match.
Now, I get the counter argument. They would say that in any country,
Yep.
There's a finite time to give people. Any coach, highest level, lowest level, you're not going to be allowed to lose games forever. But if you look at the true success stories, Germany after 2000, when they ripped up their entire framework, when they got beat at the Euro 2000, and then what was it? A few years later, they won the World Cup
2014,
because they started from scratch and they brought through the Özils and all the rest of it came through. Belgium did the same. So Germany doing it. Australia did it to a certain extent. Spain obviously do it periodically.
Yep.
It depends on how brave and how patient Singapore's going to be. What do you reckon?
Well, obviously, but in terms of technical director, obviously you can forget about results, and then you didn't let the development from grassroots up take root, and which means it shouldn't change that much as a technical director if he sets out a plan. Coaching, coaching is still based on results, and it's a shame that Yoshida had to the previous coach had to leave because of family reasons.
Yeah.
I think he was on track to make some significant improvement.
Agree.
But now we got to start all over again. So it is perhaps out of our control. But I mean, we always need to give time to this. We gave time to Yoshida, although it's because of COVID, and he produced the goods.
Yeah. But at the same time, I also feel it's everything's got to do with the pool of players at the national coaches selection or at the national coaches disposal. We spoke about the under-17 team earlier, and if they are not good enough to compete at the level, eventually when they grow old enough to be eligible for selection, we're going to struggle still. I mean, you take a look at England and the 2017's under-17 World Cup winning squad. Out of that squad, how many of the players are actually in the senior team now? I think there's only one, Phil Foden. So, it goes to show that you may be winning tournaments at the age groups, but it really depends on how you develop from that point on.
I would just be happy if they qualified for tournaments. Let alone win them. Yeah. But let us know your thoughts on that. Now, someone who has won lots of tournaments and got lots of comments this week was Ronaldo. Ronaldo. We always get comments on Ronaldo.
He refused to come on for one of the games against Spurs, I think.
Yeah.
So we are saying that he's putting himself above the club, and then there's some reaction. SpongeBob short pants, I think he has written many times. So if Ronaldo did this during SAF reign, which is Sir Alex Ferguson's reign, his career at Old Trafford will be over. Yeah, do you think he will survive if he does
I'm not sure, Yeah. I'm not sure. Yes and no. I can see the obvious argument to that. He got rid of the likes of Jaap Stam and David Beckham and Ruud van Nistelrooy. Yeah. But there's a huge caveat here. Ferguson, whether you like him or loathe him, was a master of working out whether this player is worth the trouble or not. The two obvious examples would be Roy Keane and Eric Cantona. Yep. Eric Cantona took someone's head off in the stadium, and he didn't get rid of him because he knew he's worth more to me than any possible negativity. And the same with Roy Keane until he became less productive. And as soon as that happened, he was gone as well. So I'm not sure, I kind of think Fergie might get rid of him.
So this reply was sort of like a comment also from the player saying Paul Scholes actually didn't want to play one of the matches. Yeah. And then Sir Alex Ferguson still kept him in.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably keep Cristiano Ronaldo, right? I mean,
not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. 37-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, when Fergie was in his prime, I'm not sure. I think he would weigh up his options if he had replacements, which they don't really have. So that might clinch it, apart from Rashford and Martial when he's back and the other guys. Yeah, you could be right, but only because he's got no one else. If he had a replacement, I think he'd be gone. Oil's well that ends well. See what I did there? I'm going to have
this. It's going to be all.
Yeah, it's going to be all night long.
It's going to be terrible oil puns all night long. So let's get on with the oil barons. Newcastle.
Yep.
Top 4. How did they ever manage that? I mean, if only there was a reason why Newcastle. It must be down to
the Mike Ashley.
It's simple, it's just great players,
it's
right?
It's just the genius of Eddie Howe and the Callum Wilson. And, all right, come on in. Why are they doing so well? Apart from the obvious thing.
Well, I got to say Eddie Howe played a very big part in this. I've always rated him as a coach, and I think at the point in time when Newcastle were deliberating over who to take over Steve Bruce. I felt that Eddie Howe was a good choice, and I still think that he's a good choice, and he's proven as such. He's molded a good team, got them playing good, exciting football, tightened up the defense somehow, which wasn't something that we saw in his Bournemouth teams from previously. So yeah.
So this is why I feel Eddie Howe got a short change. I think yes, the takeover of the Saudi consortium happened a year ago, and I don't think they have influenced the whole club too much yet. They haven't exactly thrown in the hard cash like Manchester City.
They have spent £200 million.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's not pocket change.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think on the pitch, you look at the players that Eddie Howe has, Joe Linton, Almiron, and the likes. I think.
And Wilson and Almiron were already there.
They were already there. Already,
and he's getting the best out of them. That I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Wilson has now scored 6,
now,
I think, in 9 games.
Yeah.
But everything is like, it's hard to. I mean, it should have been something that neutral fans like me would like. Oh, that's good. Newcastle are finally going well. You know, after all the Mike Ashley saga.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, oh well. It's just like, oh well.
I mean, how do you feel? I wanted to get your perspective just as a fan.
Yeah.
Because I have written columns about this for Yahoo that it's not the Newcastle fans' fault. No one is blaming the Newcastle fans here. But as I said in a previous podcast, I do think sometimes tribalism has its limits.
Yep.
I still think you can love Newcastle, love the Magpies. I loved them growing up.
Yep.
They were like my second or third team. Kevin Keegan, Peter Beardsley. I used to love Newcastle. I love the town as well. I love the people, the Geordies. I am a big fan. It's a working class town. I love Newcastle. And I'm very pleased they're doing well because they're a big club in a big city. And they deserve it after years of crap with Mike Ashley. But at the same time, I don't think it makes you any less of a fan if you say, I love Eddie Howe, I love what Wilson and Almiron are doing. However, I'm still quite uncomfortable with what's going on in Saudi Arabia and how the two are overlapping. I still think you can hold both views.
Yep.
What do you think?
I do agree with that. I think you can love the team, you can love what the club is doing overall, and you can have your own opinions on what's going on in Saudi Arabia as well. But then again, I also believe in I guess respecting the sanctities of what a country does within its territory if you will. But yeah, I do agree that you can have an opinion. You can have two opinions.
Yeah,
how does the fan club in Singapore? How do the fans feeling about this?
Well, I think firstly we're just overjoyed that we have gone past 14 years of hell under Mike Ashley. But yeah, no one's out there singing the Saudi Arabian national anthem, or no one's saying, oh, Banzai PIF, or long live PIF. But I think at the very core, we're just happy to be in a position where we can do well,
to be relevant.
Yeah. But I just want to ask, and I'm not picking on you. I genuinely want to know. I genuinely want to know what the fans think, because this is not a Saudi consortium. This is the country.
Yeah.
The country effectively owns.
Exactly.
So I agree with you 100%. You respect individual borders, what this country does, what that country does. That is completely up to them within their own customs and culture, how they define and set their own laws. That's their business. But this is slightly different, isn't it? Because this is a country buying a football club in another country. That's where I think people get a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's not as if Newcastle is promoting everything Saudi right now. I mean, if you look at the club and what it's doing, the advertisements on the
Where are you going for your training tour?
Let me think. No, as in yes, that's the case, but it's not an overt marketing effort in that sense. Yes, you might say that, look, they're still going to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's name is still out there, but they're not exactly using the name, the club, to say, oh, come to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is great. Saudi Arabia is doing this. Saudi Arabia is doing that.
But do you think somewhere down the line?
Well, I love that.
They might. But at this point, we haven't got there.
What are the colours of that third kit of yours? Green, I think, right? Green.
Yeah, green. It's all a coincidence.
Green and white. I think it's a bit green and white, if I'm not wrong. Is it green and white?
Yes, green and white.
Is there any national teams that have those colours? Green and white. Maybe you're paying homage to Norwich.
Ireland, the Irish national team.
Ireland. There we go. There we go. I'll come with the points for tonight.
They're having their training tour in Ireland.
Yeah.
Lots of oil in Ireland.
No, but can I just add as well?
Of course.
If you look at it, the Saudi PIF has investments in a lot of other major companies as well. Amazon, PayPal, Blizzard, Electronic
Fair point,
Arts,
fair point,
you know,
fair point.
Meta and Google and stuff like that. So if people feel that they should take a stand and they should boycott or speak out against something, then what about these products and services that they're using in their daily lives? Do they then speak out about it too, or do they then boycott?
Why was you pulling a face then? What was it?
Well, I don't know. This feels weird because, I mean, we haven't even talked about sports washing yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know whether there's any ulterior motive of PIF, but I mean, for me, this could be a story similar to Leicester City winning that 2016 title. It should be a heartwarming thing, but for neutral fans. But for right now, this thing is like I'm not really digging the Newcastle becoming good again. I know for fans, obviously it's different, but for neutral fans like me,
Yeah.
No,
I feel
that's understandable.
Yeah.
And look, guys, if things change down the road, then I think there's something that we can address at that point in time. But I think what a lot of people are having gripes with now are things that haven't happened.
Speculation.
Yeah. I mean, you can be unhappy with what's going on, fine, but it's not as if Newcastle has been, as a club or as an entity, have been doing things to promote anything else besides the football.
Let's hope it carries on. And
I do agree with both of your points, actually, but Han Keong's point is the one that really resonates with me. I really wanted the Newcastle story to be a purely success story. I believe, as a so-called neutral, that the greatest EPL story by far, it's not even close, of the last 30 years is Leicester. It's the greatest sporting achievement I have ever seen in any sport. And it was wonderful because even that story, yes, there was a billionaire, but he was a kind of a self-made billionaire and a great story. Family from Thailand buys the club, a provincial club in the Midlands of England. It was great. It was great. I want Newcastle to do well, but if they qualify for the Champions League and they start winning trophies, there's a bit of a...
It's a double-edged sword.
It's icky to use that word. It's icky. Should a club be owned by a country? I mean, this is the thing.
Tell us what
do you think? What do you think? Sending all your usual comments and contributions about Newcastle United to
Yahoo Southeast Asia at YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY in Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
That's right. And the best comment gets a barrel of oil. Right.
Which is very valuable in today's...
it's worth a fortune. It's worth a fortune.
Yeah. Olive oil.
Yes. So we'll leave it there. I promise no more oil puns in part 2. See you there.